Okay, everyone, so it is the 10th episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 4, DILFs, Dads I'd Like to Frock. Now, before I go into this episode review, I want to express my extreme disappointment. I missed several celebrities this past weekend. I work at the airport, if you don't know that already. We operate several different stores locations at the Tampa International Airport in the main terminal. Well, actually, we have stores on the air sides too, but we don't operate. I don't work with those stores. Okay, first of all, Selena Gomez, the pop star. Love Selena Gomez. She's been in town for the past several weeks filming a new movie called Spring Breakers, and I think it's supposed to come out next year. I think she's got a very minor role in the movie because she wasn't in town very long. They're still filming there, actually, in Clearwater Beach. And she's already gone. Like, she went home this weekend. She's probably not going to have a major role. But she was in the airport and missed her. There were several people that had tweeted on Twitter they had taken their pictures with her and everything, and she was in the airport. And I mean, the airport's pretty big, so unless you 100% are certain that it's a celebrity, like, you know, certain people are unmistakable as celebrities. Like Hulk Hogan, you always know what Hulk Hogan is in the airport because he has a distinctive look to him. But, I mean, Selena Gomez kind of looked like any other college-age kid. But a fan recognized her and got her picture taken over by one of the air sides, which was near one of our stores. So, I mean, she was there. She probably could have even shopped and came on in and said hello to us, and we probably wouldn't have even known who she was. We missed her. And then Chad Michaels from this season of RuPaul's Drag Race was performing at the Flamingo down in St. Pete this past weekend. Now, I was off the day that Chad Michaels actually flew back out, so that's the reason why I missed Chad Michaels. And then yesterday, I was in one of our stores, which is the toy store. And we have a Legoland partnership, so we sell Legoland tickets and everything in our store. And we also have an interactivity table at the front of the store with Legos, everything that customers can come in and play with, and, you know, kids can build whatever they want. Well, it's a great place to stand and greet people as they come in the door. So that's usually where you'll find me. I'm standing up near that table, and I invite people to, you know, interact with the product and have fun, and usually helps if I'm there too. Well, I was getting ready to go on my lunch break, trying to get the story shortened. And I was on my way out to go get food, and this older lady, she was like 80 years old. Give or take a few hundred years. Just kidding. I mean, she was not your typical Lego demographic that Lego would appeal to, because she was quite old. But she came in and she started talking about the product, and I just invited her. You know, I was like, "Come on, build something." And I was building a brochure holder for the maps and everything that we have of Legoland. And I was making it out of Lego, and she was watching me build it. And when I invited her to start playing along, she wanted to build wheels for my brochure. I don't know why wheels, but, you know, it's her creativity. She didn't want to dampen her spirit, so I played along with it, and she was like building wheels and a little car track basically for my brochure holder. And we were talking about Lego, and she was delayed for a flight, so she had some time to kill, and she was having fun. I was having fun talking to her, and I was greeting everyone that was coming in the store, saying, "Hello, how are you?" And, you know, a lot of the kids would come up and they'd start playing with Lego product and everything. And the parents would wander around the store and shop. Well, I thought that my coworker, Crystal, she's one of the subscribers to this channel, so she's probably going to comment on this video. I thought she was pulling an April Fool's joke since it was April 1st. But she comes over from Ron John's surf shop. And she's standing there at the Legoland table. She talks to me. She talks to the customer. She starts kind of fidgeting with the Legos. And she's like, "Hey, Danny, did you see RuPaul? RuPaul's in the airport." I'm like, "Yeah, right, Crystal. Not interested. I'm busy now." Continue to greet people as they come in, you know, continue to play Legos with this lady. She's kind of like looking back in mine where, you know, she kind of looks back at me. She's like, "You should get your picture taken." Because she knows I do reviews, obviously, on this channel of RuPaul's Drag Race. She's a fan of the show, too. She hasn't watched any of this season, though. Fair weather fans. She was Alexis Mateo fans last year, so that's the reason why she stayed in the show as long as she did last year, because Alexis Mateo's from Tampa. But anyway, long story short, I totally ignored Crystal. Wasn't interested in what she had to say. So I go back finally on my lunch break, and I get on my phone and I get on Twitter, and RuPaul has tweeted, "Free Wi-Fi in the Tampa airport. How sophisticated." At that point, I knew that Crystal wasn't lying. I knew RuPaul had been in town for the whole weekend. It was like a 3-day event that they were having up at the Sawmill, which is up in Dade City, a northern suburb of Tampa. It's kind of a long drive. It's the reason why I worked all weekend, so I really had no interest of going all the way up to the Sawmill to see the Glamazons concert. To be honest, I actually didn't think RuPaul would actually make an appearance there. I thought that was going to be like a RuPaul impersonator. Didn't think they would actually snag the big dog from RuPaul's Drag Race, so. But they got her, and she was performing it there, and she was flying out yesterday. Well, according to Crystal and to my other coworkers, RuPaul actually walked right into the store that I was at, right into Mineworks, with his hairstylist or publicist, whoever she was. And now they mention it, I vaguely remember greeting RuPaul when he walked in. But, you know, he wasn't in drag, obviously. And I mean, he's got a distinctive look that you can see even as a guy. You know, he's pretty tall. But you see tons of people all the time in the airport. And I'm really not a very good celebrity spotter, to be honest. I assume everybody's just like all of us. You know, there's normal people. Even if they look like a celebrity, doesn't mean they are a celebrity. So, you know, I really don't think anything of it. So, like, RuPaul was in our store, like 3 feet away from me, right behind me. I'd greeted him. And then went back to interacting with the customer at the Legoland table. Completely missed the opportunity for a picture. Maybe an autograph. Maybe a little video snippet to introduce this video, this episode review. But no. I missed that. Completely missed that. This sucks. RuPaul obviously didn't stay in store very long because it is a kid's store and there's not much use in being in the store. I mean, there's candy in the back of the room, and that tends to draw a lot of adults. They just kind of like, ooh, sugar. So they just kind of like migrate like zombies into the store just to see the candy. And it's a bright, colorful store, you know. So it gets a lot of people's attention. Surprised he didn't go into Ron John, though, because we have like bright pink t-shirts and rainbow colors and Rasta. And, I mean, it's a very... the huge tiki god that we have right at the front of the store should draw anybody in. But, you know, I'm pretty surprised that like he didn't wander into Ron John, but he wandered into Mineworks. I guess the brightly colored rainbow costume hats that we sell right at the front probably caught his eye too, but anyway, I guess it's on to the episode review. Just wanted to share my disappointment with the fact that I actually didn't get to introduce you guys to RuPaul at the front of this episode. It's on to the review. Hey everyone. Okay, so this episode of RuPaul's Drag Race was called DILFs. Dads I'd Like to Frock. There were some interesting characters this year. Now last year they had a straight man in drag challenge, where they actually brought in straight guys, straight jocks. And we all remember Alexis Mateo got the best straight guy to change. I think his name was Shrava, something like that. Anyway, this year, Kenya seemed to have gotten the best guy, but yeah, that's right. Kenya came back, was the one that they chose to come back. And of course, just like last year, with Carmen, Kenya was gone very, very quickly. Now, the mini challenge in this episode was bears. They had to dress up bears in drag. Now, I understand the connection, because bears are daddies. But I didn't like the fact that these queens just could not come up with good names for these bears. I preferred Chad Michaels' bear. He named it the Jiggly Caliente bear, after Jiggly, from a previous queen from this season. But then Kenya named her La Trans Bear. That was stupid. She ended up winning the mini challenge though, and I think it's just because the person that comes back is kind of favored in the mini challenge, and then they're given the axe in the main challenge. But I just did not like La Trans Bear. Fifi named her bear Princess Bitch Bear. That wasn't very smart either. Of course, Sharon Needles named her Scare Bear, so you know that went without saying too. There was no imagination there. But now, personally, I liked all the DILFs that RuPaul brought out. Now, all these are obviously open-minded guys, just like they were last year with the jocks and frocks. They have to be, because otherwise they wouldn't be allowed on the show, because it's supposed to be a show about diversity and understanding. So, they brought all these guys out. Now, Mike, which was the dad that Sharon got, was probably the oldest one. He was the only one I really would consider a real dad in the conventional terms of the definition in the gay community. But all the rest of them, I mean, they were all real-life dads. Like, they all were fathers of children. But definitely Kenya's was the nicest one. I think his name is Rick. Yeah, he was the nicest looking one. But Fifi was lucky to get the dad that she got, Chris. Fifi has her own daddy drama that, you know, made her find an emotional spot, and she actually broke down on the runway talking about it. And I think all of us can sort of commiserate with Fifi. Now, there are some in the community that have understanding parents and loving parents that love them no matter what, but the majority of parents have a hard time dealing with their children being gay. Now, it's one thing to have a child that's gay, but also another to have a child that's gay and does drag. I mean, I think takes a special kind of parent to really, really, really be open from day one about it. Most parents do find it shocking, but it's just unfortunate there are some parents that actually will disown their children for what they do, for being gay, or for doing drag. That's why I think last week it was kind of sentimental and touching when Dita's parents actually appeared on video on Untucked to accept her for doing drag. My cat, I'm gonna go kill her. Don't know if you've noticed, but I'm actually using another new photo editing app that I'm recording this video with. I'm an app hoarder. I should have my own reality TV show because you should see my phone. It's like completely filled with apps. But this is a new app that I'm trying. It's got some new video effects and everything. It was a free app today, so I just downloaded it. But anyway, back to the episode. Now that my cat is out of the... There were a couple of awkward moments in this episode. Two of them came from Mike, who was Sharon's partner, Sharon's dad in this challenge. When Rue was in the workroom and was talking to everyone, she came to Mike and Sharon. Mike said the only thing that was really uncomfortable about, this challenge and doing this outfit, it was a baby bump challenge where they actually have to look like they're pregnant and be in maternity clothes for the runway. Mike goes, I feel like I'm having a baby elephant. Do you want to see its trunk? It's a little bit awkward. Like Sharon said, the guy does not have a filter on him at all. A little bit later on, Mike confronts Chad Michaels, and it's kind of being very butch and kind of threatening to Chad Michaels, and Sharon actually has to defend Chad Michaels and tell Mike to back off, basically. It kind of seemed like it was all for show. I mean, they kind of revealed it on Tuck that it was all just for drama, for television, that Mike actually liked Chad Michaels. There was another awkward moment. Actually, it was a pretty funny moment. They were on the runway, and Sharon and Mike had just had been reviewed by the judges. Now, Mike's drag name was Robin Mansions. Now, I like that name. That was a pretty inventive drag name. It's probably the best one that any of them came up with. And they were talking about how ugly Robin Mansions looked. And Sharon goes, Robin Mansions' face repels beauty. And I love that. Nobody makes a woman feel prettier than standing next to this one over here. And then RuPaul had a comeback. Well, that's why I hang out with Michelle Visage. Michelle did not have a comment. She just sat there and looked at Ru. That was hilarious. Another awkward moment was when Kenya Michaels actually had to go behind the screen and help Rick tuck. And Rick made a comment about his balls being too big for them to be able to tuck. It takes a very comfortable straight guy to go, first of all, to go on national television and do drag. Much less to let a drag queen, a gay guy, help him tuck. Anyway, at the end of the day, Sharon Needles just barely survives, I think. And we'll make it to next week's dog pageant challenge, which should be pretty easy for Sharon Needles. I love Sharon Needles. Sharon, even out of drag, is starting to grow on me. It's kind of like that skater punk look. I actually really like Sharon Needles out of drag. And as much as they try to edit these two to absolutely hate each other, I think there's a lot more in common between Fifi and Sharon than they choose to admit. I mean, Fifi is beautiful in and out of drag, but there's an insecurity issue with Fifi that you can see, and it probably has to have a lot to do with the daddy drama. The fact that he hasn't spoken to his dad since he was 18. I mean, that's an insecurity issue there. That's an issue that needs to be resolved. But Fifi does seem to handle it pretty well, and doesn't react quite like Jiggly Caliente did about losing her mother and missing her. Jiggly just was angry at the world and had a meltdown. Fifi at least is a little bit stable. So your final top 4 is Chad Michaels, Sharon Needles, Fifi O'Hara, and Latrice Royale. Now, I gotta honestly say, I expect Latrice Royale probably to be gone next week. I don't know who will be in the bottom 2 with her. As mean as it is to say, I do think that Sharon Needles will do quite well in the dog challenge. That's not a slight against Sharon Needles. I don't want that to sound horrible, but I think she'll do quite well in this challenge. Chad Michaels might end up being in the bottom 2. There's very few queens that make it through a whole season without being in the bottom 2. I think it's about time for Chad Michaels to get a taste of it. Fifi O'Hara will probably... Fifi has a dog, though. So, if she carries herself well, I think Fifi might be able to slide through on this challenge along with Sharon Needles. I think it'll be Chad Michaels next week against Latrice Royale in the bottom 2. Of course, Latrice has been in the bottom 2 quite a bit recently, so Latrice will be going home. That will set up Chad Michaels, Fifi O'Hara, and Sharon Needles in the top 3. It's a perfect top 3. The drama there is just perfect. So, I'm pretty sure that will be your top 3. And then the top 2 will more than likely be Sharon Needles and Chad Michaels.